My name is Ethan Carter. I'm not just an architect, I'm a damn good one. People pay me to turn their dreams into reality, to craft buildings that are not just structures but works of art. But the project I took the most pride in wasn't for a client. It was for my wife, Olivia, the woman I built my world around. She was an artist, talented, ambitious, breathtakingly beautiful. Her gallery was her pride, a place where she showcased not just her own paintings, but the works of up-and-coming artists. She had built a name for herself, carving out a space in the art world that people respected. I admired her drive, her vision. I wanted to give her everything. So when I designed our home, I poured my heart into every inch of it. It wasn't just a house. It was a masterpiece. Every window, every piece of furniture, every hidden detail was tailored to her desires. She wanted an open, airy studio. I designed one with vaulted ceilings and massive skylights. She dreamed of a garden where she could paint in the morning sun. I landscaped it myself, and for a while, we were happy. But Olivia was never the kind of woman who could sit still. Success wasn't enough. She needed more. Always more. Lately, her obsession had shifted to something bigger than a single gallery. She wanted an empire, and she had set her sights on a historic building in the heart of downtown. It was perfect. Massive exhibition halls, intricate architectural details, the kind of place that screamed prestige. If Olivia's gallery moved there, she wouldn't just be another name in the art world, she would be a force. There was just one problem. The building belonged to Charles Whitmore, an eccentric, reclusive millionaire. And Whitmore wasn't selling, not for any price. For months, Olivia tried everything. She pulled every connection, used every trick in the book, but Whitmore refused to budge. The rejections only fueled her obsession. It was all she talked about. At first, I sympathized. I knew what it was like to chase a dream. But as time went on, the frustration changed her. She barely ate. She barely slept. She stopped painting, stopped laughing, and eventually, she stopped looking at me the same way. I didn't know it yet, but I was already losing her. It was late when it happened. I was in my office going over blueprints for a new project when I heard her come in. Her heels clicked against the hardwood floor. Normally, she would have come up to kiss me goodnight. But tonight, she stopped at the bottom of the staircase and called my name. Something in her voice felt wrong. I walked downstairs and found her standing in the dimly lit foyer. Her arms were crossed, her expression unreadable. "I figured out how to get the building," she said. Something about the way she said it sent a chill down my spine. "Oh?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. She took a slow breath. "Whitmore made me an offer." I felt a flicker of hope. Maybe he'd finally agreed to lease the space. Maybe we could finally move past this obsession. But then she spoke again. "If I leave you and become his woman, the building is mine." Silence. I could hear the ticking of the grandfather clock in the living room, the faint hum of the refrigerator, the distant sound of a car passing outside. I blinked. Then I laughed. A short, humorless chuckle. "That's funny, Liv." She didn't laugh. She didn't even smile. I felt my stomach drop. "You're serious?" I whispered. She nodded. A wave of nausea rolled through me. "And what did you say?" She hesitated, just for a second, but it was long enough. I told him I'd think about it. The world tilted. My hands clenched into fists. "You'd think about it?" My voice came out rough, barely controlled. "Are you out of your goddamn mind?" She flinched. "Ethan, listen." "No." I took a step forward. "Do you even hear yourself right now? You're actually considering leaving me for... what? A building?" She swallowed hard. "It's not just a building, Ethan. It's the future. My future." I let out a bitter laugh. "Your future? What about our future?" She looked away. "I love you, Ethan, but love isn't enough." I felt something inside me snap. Everything I had ever done was for her. The home, the sacrifices, the late nights, the endless support. And now she was telling me that none of it mattered? That she was willing to throw away our marriage for a goddamn gallery? My voice dropped to a deadly whisper. "So you've already made your decision?" She hesitated. Just for a second. And then she nodded. The final nail in the coffin. I exhaled slowly, forcing the anger down. "Fine." Her eyes widened slightly, as if she hadn't expected me to accept it so easily. I turned away, heading back up the stairs. "Ethan, I..." Didn't stop. Didn't look back. The next morning, she packed her things. No long, dramatic goodbye. No pleading. No second thoughts. She kissed me on the cheek, like I was some acquaintance she was parting ways with, and whispered, "I'm sorry." And then she was gone. For hours, I sat in my office, staring blankly at the blueprints on my desk. My mind played through every moment of our life together. The laughter, the quiet mornings, the whispered promises, all of it. Meaningless. By nightfall, the grief had burned itself out, leaving only cold, simmering rage. She had made her choice. Now, it was my turn. And Olivia was about to learn what happens when you betray the man who built your world. The first few days after Olivia left were a blur. The house, the masterpiece I had built for her, felt hollow, stripped of warmth. Every corner held a memory, a ghost of the life we had shared. The smell of her perfume still lingered in our bedroom, the faintest trace of her presence. Mocking me. At first, I felt nothing but raw pain. It was like being gutted from the inside, left bleeding out with no way to stop it. My wife, my Olivia, had chosen him over me, not because she loved him, not because she wanted to be with him, but because he had something she wanted. That was the part that burned the most. I wasn't even a person to her anymore, just an obstacle in the way of her ambition. But pain has a way of turning into something else, something sharper. By the end of the first week, grief had transformed into cold, calculated fury. She thought she could walk away so easily, thought she could play this game and win. She had no idea who she was dealing with. I wasn't going to beg, I wasn't going to wallow, I was going to ruin her, and I knew exactly where to start. Olivia's gallery had always been her kingdom, and every kingdom has its pawns. One of those pawns was Mia Harper. Mia had been Olivia's assistant for the past 2 years. A striking brunette with piercing blue eyes and a sharp wit, she was more than just a background player. She handled scheduling, dealt with clients, and most importantly, knew every intimate detail of Olivia's business. And I had always suspected that Mia harbored a certain resentment toward Olivia. Maybe it was because Olivia never truly appreciated her. Maybe it was because she had spent years playing second fiddle, watching Olivia bask in the spotlight while she did all the real work behind the scenes. Or maybe it was something simpler. Maybe she had always wanted me. So I gave her the opening she needed. I reached out under the guise of needing help with some of Olivia's abandoned affairs. A few casual meetings turned into long dinners. Long dinners turned into stolen touches, then heated nights. Mia wasn't just beautiful. She was clever. And more importantly, she was loyal to me now. I didn't have to manipulate her into helping me. She wanted to. The divorce papers were the next step. I knew Olivia. I knew that deep down she thought this was temporary, that once she secured the gallery, she could come back and I'd be waiting. That was her mistake. Mia helped me draft the paperwork, every clause, every stipulation designed to benefit me and leave Olivia with nothing. The financials were structured in a way that stripped her of any claims to the house, our assets, everything. All I needed was her signature, and I knew exactly how to get it. Mia scheduled a meeting with Olivia under the pretense of handling some outstanding gallery contracts. Buried within the stack of documents was the divorce agreement. Mia played her role perfectly, rushing Olivia, pressuring her with fake urgency. And just as I expected, Olivia didn't bother reading what she was signing. Her arrogance was her downfall. She still believed she controlled the game. She had no idea that she had just signed away everything. With the legal part handled, it was time to destroy her reputation. Olivia had always been careful about maintaining a certain image. She was respected in the art world, admired by high-profile clients. But people love a scandal. They love to watch someone they once idolized fall. I just needed to give them something to talk about. Enter David Langley. David was a mutual acquaintance, a man who thrived on gossip. If you told David a secret in the morning, half the city would know by lunch. So I made sure to accidentally let something slip in his presence. I mentioned, in an offhanded way, that I had moved on, that I was seeing someone new, that I had never felt more alive. It took less than 48 hours for the rumors to spread. At first, it was whispers at social events. Then it became more blatant. Clients started talking. Other gallery owners started asking questions. And then, the worst part for Olivia, her collectors started pulling out. Because in the art world, reputation is everything. And right now, hers was in free fall. I could only imagine her reaction when she first heard the rumors. I pictured her sitting in some overpriced penthouse, sipping wine, completely confident that she had played me for a fool. And then the calls started coming in. The texts, the shocked, disapproving voices of her associates, the cold rejections from buyers who didn't want to be associated with an artist whose personal life had turned into a spectacle, and then the realization that she wasn't in control anymore, that I was. It didn't take long for her to reach out. First, it was a casual message. Olivia, I heard some interesting news. Care to explain? I left it on read. Then another. Olivia, Ethan, we need to talk. Call me. Ignored. And then, finally, a voicemail. Her voice was tight, laced with frustration. Ethan, I don't know what game you think you're playing, but this needs to stop. Call me back. I didn't, because I knew something she didn't. She thought the worst had already happened. She had no idea how much farther she was about to fall. I knew Olivia would come back. It was never a question of if, it was only a matter of when. She had always been too confident, too self-assured in her ability to manipulate the world to her liking. She thought she was untouchable, that people would bow to her ambition, that the universe would bend to her desires. But reality has a way of humbling even the most arrogant. And Olivia was about to learn just how brutal that lesson could be. It happened on a rainy evening. I was in my office, reviewing plans for a new project, when I heard the knock at the front door, a slow, hesitant knock. I knew before I even stood up who it was. Taking my time, I walked downstairs and opened the door. There she was, soaked from the rain, mascara smudged, her once perfect composure shattered. She looked smaller somehow, fragile in a way I had never seen before. Ethan, she breathed, wrapping her arms around herself. Can I come in? I didn't move, didn't speak, just watched her, waiting. She swallowed hard, shifting on her feet. Please, I stepped aside. Not because I had any intention of giving her what she wanted, but because I wanted to see her realize just how royally she had screwed up. She walked into the house slowly, her eyes darting around as if expecting things to be different, as if expecting me to be the same man she left behind. Ethan, she started, voice wavering. I made a mistake. I leaned against the wall, arms crossed, saying nothing. She took a shaky breath. Whitmore. He lied to me. Of course, he did. I had suspected from the start that his offer was nothing more than a sick power play. Men like Charles Whitmore didn't give things away. They took. And Olivia had been desperate enough to fall right into his trap. He never intended to sign the building over, she continued, voice thick with humiliation. He strung me along for months. Promised that the papers were coming, that it was just a matter of time. I raised an eyebrow. And she let out a bitter laugh. And then one day he just stopped answering my calls, stopped returning my messages. I went to see him, and he had already moved on. She swallowed. With someone new? I felt nothing. No sympathy, no satisfaction, just cold indifference. She had thrown away our marriage for nothing. And now, When she had nowhere else to go, she was crawling back. I let the silence stretch, watching as she grew more desperate. "I thought I was doing the right thing," she pleaded. "I thought I was building something." "You were building something," I said calmly. "You were building your own destruction." Tears welled in her eyes. "Ethan, please. I love you." I let out a quiet chuckle. "No, Olivia. You love winning. You love getting what you want." I leaned in slightly, voice dropping to a cold whisper. "But this time, you lost." She shook her head frantically. "No, no, we can fix this. We can go back to how things were." That was when I finally pulled the papers from my desk and placed them in front of her. The divorce papers, the ones she had signed without reading. Her face went pale. What is this?" she whispered. I tapped the stack of documents. "Our divorce, finalized." She stared at them in disbelief. No, I never signed these." "You did," I said, my voice calm, almost amused. "You were too busy chasing your dream to read what you were putting your name on. And now? You have nothing." Her breath hitched. "Ethan, please. You don't mean this. You're angry, I get it, but we can work through this." I tilted my head, studying her. "Tell me something, Olivia." She blinked. "What?" "Would you have come back if Whitmore had given you what you wanted?" Silence. I watched as the realization sank in. She wouldn't have. If things had worked out the way she planned, she wouldn't be standing in my house, begging me to take her back. She only wanted me now because she had lost everything else. I let out a slow, deliberate sigh. "You chose your path, Olivia, and it led you here." I gestured around the room. "Not as my wife, not as my partner, but as a woman who threw everything away for nothing." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "Ethan, please, I love you. I need you." I stepped back, my voice firm. "No, Olivia. You needed me when it was convenient. You don't get to come back now." She let out a strangled sob. We were supposed to be forever." I exhaled, shaking my head. "Forever ended the moment you chose him." She broke down then, sinking to her knees, crying into her hands, begging me to forgive her. But I felt nothing. Not anymore. I had mourned the woman I loved. But Olivia, the real Olivia, she had died the moment she put ambition above loyalty, and I had no interest in resurrecting her. I turned toward the door, opening it wide. "Goodbye, Olivia." She looked up, her face streaked with mascara and regret. "Ethan, please." I didn't wait to hear the rest. I walked away, leaving her there. She left that night. I didn't watch her go, didn't care where she ended up. Because as far as I was concerned, Olivia Carter no longer existed. She was just another lesson. A reminder that love, when placed in the hands of the wrong person, is nothing more than a weapon waiting to be turned against you. But I had survived. And now? Now I was free.